and welcome back to my class. You know that I am Halim Nisa, teacher and junior lecturer of Elizabeth High School and Junior College. So here in today's class we are discussing the chapter 8, which is from economics second year, and chapter name is New Economics, Reforms and Foreign Sectors. So this lesson is divided into two parts, part A and part B, in which part A is dealing with the new economic reforms, whereas the part B is dealing with the foreign sectors. So first we will discuss about the part A, which is new economic reforms. In this first, liberalization. Here the liberalization is commonly known as the free trade. So it implies the removal of restrictions and barriers to a free trade. Exactly. So here the Congress government led by the Prime Minister, which is Sri P.V. Narasimha Rao, and the Finance Minister Dr. Manmohan Singh announced a new industrial policy on 24th July in 1991. So here India has taken many efforts for the liberalization, which are as industrial sector, trade policy, foreign investment, foreign technology, and here public sector policy and MRTP Act here. So all these are the liberalization policies. Now we will see the privatization and disinvestment. Here in this, the word privatization has been receiving the much attention in business and government on the global platform. Exactly. So here the different routes of privatization have already been tried in the countries like Great Britain and the China, the US, Turkey, Brazil, Mexico and Japan also. So here in India too, this is adopted. Here in the beginning has been made through the new economic policies by selling the 20% of the equity capital of 30 plus select public sectors units, that is PSUs, at a mutual funds and the financial institutions and general public and employees are there. So here in privatization implies the shedding of the ownership or management of government owned enterprise. Exactly. Here the government companies can be converted into the private companies in two ways, and they are by withdrawal of the government from the ownership and management of the public sector, or in other way by outright the sale of the public companies. Exactly. Now the forms of privatization. Here the privatization consists of the three kinds, which are indicated as the ownership type, organizational type and operational type. So here in ownership type, they are the total denationalization and the joint venture and the liquidization and management buyout, and in organizational type like anatomy in decision makings and the restructuring are there, whereas in operational type. So after these forms of privatization, now we will see the privatization in India. Here on 24th July in 1991, here the central government announced the new industrial policy as a part of economic reforms, and these policies state the open up to a number of areas to private sectors, and in order to encourage wider public participation, it is resolved to the government's shareholdings of public sector to the mutual funds, financial institutions and the general public and workers also. So this is the privatization in India. Now we will see about the disinvestment. Here in disinvestments, for the first 4 decades after the independence, the country was pursuing a path of development in which the public sector was expected to the engine of growth. Exactly. So here the public sector overgrew itself and its shortcomings and started the manifesting is low capacity utilization and low efficiency due to the over mining and the low work ethics and the over capitalization due to the substantial time and the cost overruns and the inability to innovate and take a quick and timely decisions, and in a large interference in the decision making process, etc. are they. So here the decisions was taken by the government in 1991 through the new economic policy to follow the path of disinvestment. So here the privatization of the public sector undertaking by the selling of part or full equity of PSUs to the general public is known as the disinvestment. So here the disinvestment can also be defined as the action of an organization selling or the liquidation on assets or subsidiary, and it is also referred as a disbursement. Now the arguments in favor of privatization and disinvestments. Here they are like the marginal efficiency and the responsibility and the facial discipline, less political interference, decision making, and at last the better service to the customers. So all these are the arguments which is agree and in favor of the privatization and disinvestment. Now we will see about the globalization here. Here the globalization means the integrating the economy of a country with the world economy. Exactly. So it calls for the removal of all the trade barriers among the countries. So here the IMF defined the globalization as the growing economics interdependence of the countries worldwide through the increasing volume and the variety of across borders transaction in goods and as well as in services and international flows, and also through the more rapid and the widespread diffusions of the technology. Exactly. Now the characteristics of globalization. Here some of the main characteristics of globalization are like rapid growth in international financial transactions and the fast growth in trade, especially among the multinational corporations, that is MNCs, and the surge in the foreign direct investments are largely contributed by the MNCs and the emergence of the global market and the diffusions of the technologies and ideas through the rapid expansion of the transportation and also the communication system. Exactly. Now the essential conditions for globalization. Here the globalization requires the existence of certain essential conditions in the host country of the successful implementation of the global business. Exactly. And they are business freedom, government support, and the infrastructure facilities and the competitiveness. After this, now the obstacles to globalization in India, and they are poor infrastructure and the high cost and the resistance to change, small size, and others are the obstacles to the globalization. Now we will see the factors favoring of globalization, and they are here the human resource and the growing domestic markets, and here the non-resident Indians, that is NRI, and the competition are the factors that favoring the globalization. Now we will see the foreign direct investments, that is FDI. Here the foreign direct investment is defined as a form of long-term international capital movement made for the purpose of productive activity and accompanied by the intention of managerial control or participation in the management of a foreign firms here. So here the foreign direct investment as a bridge to fulfill the gap between the investment and the savings. Exactly. So in the process of the economic development, here the foreign capital helps to cover the domestic savings content and provide the access to the superior technology that promotes the efficiency and the productivity of the existing production capacity and generate a new production opportunity. Exactly. So here the current foreign direct investment is permitted through the financial collaborations, joint ventures, and the capital markets also. But here, as a part of economic reforms, here it had opened its economy and allowed the MNCs in the core sectors such as the power and fuel and the electrical equipments and the transport, chemicals, food, insurance, hotel, tourism, and IT also. Now we will see the FDI inflows. Here the details of a sectors which attracted the higher FDI inflows. As per the data sectors which attracted the higher inflows were the services and the telecommunication and the construction activities and the computer software and hardware. And now the impact of economic reforms on Indian economy. Here the central government followed the microeconomic stabilization and the structural adjustment policies to overcome the economic crisis emerged in 1990s. So here the macroeconomics stabilization policy include the control of inflation and the facial adjustments and the balance of payments adjustments, whereas here the structural adjustments policy deal with the reforms in trade, industrial sector, public sector, and the financial sectors. By this we have completed the part A in this class. Now we will discuss the part B in our next class. Thank you.